Is working. Yes. Okay. This is my dream. My dream is to just chat for less than 5 minutes every time that it feels like there's something needs to be said. I was doing a meditation this morning. So there's a non laying down walking meditation. It is one of the Joe Dispenza ones. And I recommend it personally because although I would like to have some variation, have like a female voice as well, be guiding a meditation, which I understand there's so many on YouTube. But um, this one's just seemed to work. I think, especially, I mean, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and I don't know if that's like a thing or not, but I appreciate the way that the music in the background, I think it's quite enveloping, etc. And then the the voice is, I think, does a good job at like keeping the attention going. And I think that's really helpful when it comes to actually having pretty deep meditation. And what I wanted to share today was that I live, like, my family lives halfway across the world, and I live in another world. And it might seem like another world. I live in another country. And I deal with a lot of like loneliness and, everything, because when you're extracted, right? I miss like the sound of birds, the street noises, um, so much. And it's nothing to be like, oh no, the country that is hosting me isn't enough. It is. I'm incredibly grateful for it. I just think both things can exist: being grateful and also missing home. And in this meditation, I was just blown away by, like, my two dogs came to me, and I was just like floored with the love, because I was like, wow, like entity of like God, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it, this non-specific religion, God, um has just made this world that is, or at least we exist in this world, if we don't want to think about God, and with so many opportunities. If you can hear my dogs in the background, they're play fighting over a dog bone, I think. Oh no. And it wouldn't be like a real bone. It's okay. And so the thing is that instead of only relying in the past, as I did, on seeing something beautiful or hearing something beautiful to then feel beauty, appreciation, grace, love, which is still very beautiful. Like, it's a wonderful experience. Say you're walking down the street, you smell jasmine, you see the sunlight, you see a beautiful bird, and someone, that you love calls you, or you meet up with someone that you love. And of course you can feel elated, and that the world is really a heavenly place. And that is exactly how I used to kind of like live my reality. Kind of, if it's perhaps a difficult weather, I'm doing something I really don't want to do, or like different things, and then I'm feeling down. And so I was kind of reacting to the life experience, and I think that's pretty normal. I think that's a lot of the times how we end up living the world, the life experience. I hope that through my days of doing life, I will become more eloquent. The other way of doing things is taking the time to fill our own cup, in the sense of, well, I personally find that more often than not, when doing a meditation, I will feel so much love, or peace, or relaxation. And because I'm doing that, I'm setting myself up for a better world. I think, had I just gone about my day without doing the meditation, maybe yes, I would have been excited, like petting the dogs. But most, but maybe not. And I think most likely I would have just like gone about my day, feeding them, walking them, yeah, a pat here and there, but not the feeling of like, wow, like there's so many. Oh, I wrote a song called Excuse to Love, and I'm gonna look it up. But it was just that feeling that when that I I questioned whether I had wanted to find a partner to have an excuse to love, because maybe it's not normal or accepted, yeah, normal to just feel love for no reason whatsoever. But I remember there's a beautiful street near where I live, and there were a few months that every time I walked past that street, I would just feel like this street is not earthly. Like this is very beautiful, and there's nothing really beautiful about that street, but it felt so wonderful. So I wondered if me just falling in love allowed me to then, or gave me an excuse to just feel and appreciate the love around me so much. I'm laughing because it's hilarious how the pups are just making noise. But let me look it up. Excuse to love. Yeah. So these videos, these lives are not for me to talk about the music. I don't. It's just whatever needs to come up. Not a single. Oh God, I just woke up. Cloud in the sky, all the blossoms in town. Like a child laughing at sunrise, you made me free, and I made the key to finally breathe and love like this. Man, I mess with peaceful is another word. I just needed an excuse to love. And I think that's the chorus. This was one of the first songs I wrote. Would I know the joy of beauty, jasmine framed in light blue sky, had I not lived through the cold midwinter time? Would I be in the depth of wonder, had I not doubted it, doubted it, doubted it all before? And of course, this comes a time where I went through the winter, and being not from this country, going through the winter was a lot. Just not used to the long dark nights, and just the weather of it. It was quite intense. Like I come from a country where, or like a city where it's a pretty mild, kind of temperate weather all year round. Um, I mean, of course, you still feel cold if that's all, but it's nothing compared to then going to a really cold place. But then it goes into you made me free and I took the key, right? It goes again, and then verse 3 would be full-fledged arc, faced the demon inside, watched it burn like a mad girl, and when I was ready, you walked my way and let me sway, made me swoon. Yeah, you. So I think it's like talking about, yeah, like how beautiful and falling in love with like the street that I told you about, and and maybe just seeing that I had waited to fall in love just to have an excuse to love, because to love is like the whole point of life. And I was reading the book called um, The Artist's Way, and I haven't finished it, and I've attempted it twice, so I might, give it. Well, it's just a lot. But yeah, and one of the things, one of the exercises is to write 3 pages a day, um, at least. And what I was doing, in that you can just complain, you can just pour your heart out, you can ask questions to like a higher self or God or angels or whatever you believe in. And gosh, I feel like I hesitate using the word God because there's so much kind of baggage of culture and politics within religion that I really don't mean to touch upon any of that. It's more so I know that there were many years where I didn't think that really God existed, and I thought, I believed in this concept of religion is the opium for the masses, kind of like, oh, if someone is weak, they rely on this thing we can't really prove, because um, it's easier to go through life that way. Whereas like how brave, cool, etc. would it be to just go through life thinking it's just you? And and I did that because I was reading a book about self-development that really emphasized like let's look at science, proving things as opposed to relying on or thinking about things that we can't really prove. And that was helpful in that it the other part of the book was about um, exploring what are your limiting beliefs or negative beliefs about yourself. So you write them down and then you counter them. So if you think, "Oh, I'm a failure," well, blah 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 blah. Well, maybe did do this, or I do think of myself this other way, blah blah blah. And so you are not just at the mercy of your thoughts, but you're having critical thinking to be like, "Is this really true?" etc. So I thought that was really helpful. Supposedly you're meant to do that many times throughout the day to just like really help boost your self esteem. So that was really helpful as well. So there were and I think it was extremely helpful to get rid of emetophobia, which I had before. But yes, but I think the concept, and I don't know if I'm just being swayed from here to there, is kind of like an ADHD thing of like, oh yeah, I really fall in love with this concept or not. But it was a dark night of the soul. My partner was someone who I absolutely fell madly, beautifully fell in love with. They were doing a master's program abroad, so I felt completely alone, and I didn't know what was happening. But for 5 weeks, I couldn't really walk for more than like 5-10 minutes, or it felt that way. Like I felt like when you're beginning fever, where all your joints are really painful and there's a lot of like heat and pain, and it was just, like, throughout my whole body, and I was like, "Okay, it's okay maybe if it lasts, like, 3 weeks or something like that, but up to 5 weeks, I'm like, is this gonna be my new normal? Like, is this some strange disease? Like, is this leading to, like, a very slow end of life?" Like, I don't it was just because, and then obviously the fear and the uncertainty made things worse. As soon as I knew, I mean, we did so many tests and nothing was coming up really, or very little. And finally, one doctor was like, "Yeah, it is fibromyalgia." And so, which is just a pain disorder. And I don't really know too much about it, but there was like a pain medication, which is like an old antidepressant, which seems to work with that. So I got that medication, and I think I took it for like 5 days, and it was having an effect. I did feel better. My mom at that moment was like, "Why don't you try doing meditation?" And I was like, that doesn't work. It's not gonna work. This is like a real life like issue. Meditation is just gonna be like, nice, but this is real life. But I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. We're already here, so might as well. And I did the meditation, and I remember that it was immediate. The effect was immediate, and I realized that the soothing effect that the medication had was pretty much the same as the meditation. So I thought, well, a pill is still some chemicals entering my body. And in a way, I feel psychologically kind of like I'm depending on that. So if I'm doing this meditation, which is not relying on external like chemicals, maybe I'm generating my own pharmacy of chemicals inside of my body from a different way. I want to explore this. And that's how I got into meditating. And I was meditating every day. And at the beginning, I could only do like maybe 25 minutes of meditation. And um, but yeah, I just felt like, and if I stopped doing the meditation, I quickly went back into the pain. So all this to say that there are many ways, I guess, to commune or feel God. And again, I hesitate to use that word, so maybe let's just, I don't know what else to call it, but this love force, this thing that I think the more I am able to feel love, the better quality of life I have. Like love for the air I breathe, the clothes that I'm able to wear, the place I'm able to be, like the family members, the dogs. And it is not like I'm able to live in this space of love naturally. Or maybe I would be if I had not been like living my whole life the way I did, um, which is, I guess, a quite normal kind of life. But I don't know. Like, what is normal? But yes, I think that I feel that doing things like meditation helps me um, work through feelings. Like it gives me a space to feel the feelings. Sometimes on the day to day, I'm like, yeah, but I don't have time to feel that right now, or it's not appropriate for me to feel all these feelings. And doing the the artist way, which is that as well, like having the 3 pages to explore what's happening inside. And what I think what ends up happening is you have this kind of like conscious layer of like the decisions that you're making, that day, and like living life, etc. And then there's like a layer of like kind of, I don't know if the word is muck, but just like kind of things that to work through, maybe old wounds that were ignored. And once we start working on those, like bringing them to life, loving them, and I think that one of the most special things in the world is having unconditional love for ourselves. And this is something that I did a meditation retreat, and we were doing like this, like healing, basically just sending love to someone. And at the end, the idea was like, now you can turn the hands to yourself and send yourself that love. And I was like, I can't believe that we have this insanely huge ability to love, and how we can love like a parent or a sibling or a best friend, a partner, a pet. And seldom do we like turn this around and feel that same feeling of deep love towards ourselves. And I think, yeah, the more I feel, the more I can remember to do that. And again, I wanted to make this video now because I just come out of the meditation, and these things are very kind of a flor de piel, which means like it's very recent. It's very, but it doesn't mean that I wouldn't go into my old ways of thinking, of just like, whatever, around the day. But just as I'm able to record when I feel sad or things aren't working out, this is perhaps even a gentle reminder to myself that there is another way. And I think meditation, at least for me, helps me kind of live in those spaces. And not every meditation is wonderful and magical. Some meditations I've had that I'm like, well, this was a waste of time. But the concept is that there is never a waste of time, that just trust that the meditation is still working, in backstage where we can't really see it. So that's what we talked about today. Please let me know about what you feel, what you. Okay. Bye. Love you. Who? I don't know. Whoever watches it, sending love.